Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there. Welcome to New Life Live. Happy Friday to you, December the 16th. And making my life happy today is Mark Cameron. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Steve. Hey, Alice.
And
Hi.
Dr. Alice Benton.
Making your life harder
here
today, Steve. That's my side of it.
Well, I think that does happen sometimes, but it's good. It's really good. Okay, so getting help for yourself is a great gift to yourself, and it's a gift to everybody else around you. So how does a person go from being a taker to a giver and give themselves the gift of healthier relationships, especially healthier relationship with God? How do you get unstuck?
Well, I think doing your own deep work, Steve, really getting in with the therapist if you can do that, and just kind of working through your hang-ups, right, and your insecurities, and if we can if we can hold ourselves accountable, then others don't need to take that role in our lives, and I think that's probably the best gift we can give others.
Yeah, and you know, if your car breaks down, you don't have to know what's wrong to go and take it in and get it fixed. Well, you might know, life is not going well here. You don't have to know why. Go work with somebody that's been trained to ask the right questions to help you figure out what's not working, what paths haven't been productive, and then they help you chart a new course. You don't have to know everything before you get help. Alice, what are your thoughts there?
I know for some it feels very selfish to get help, and we have so many caregivers in our audience that are good at giving but not good at receiving the help for themselves, and it can feel like a misuse of time and resources to invest in yourself. But we get burnt out, and eventually we do not love well if we haven't gotten fueled back up again ourselves. And so it's partly the motivation in the self-care that makes the difference. We can selfishly engage in self-care, or we can do so that our generosity is replenished, and then we do love better when we're well cared for ourselves.
Amen. Well, we want to help you, and you call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and we will do exactly that. We will do everything we can to help you. Let's go to George, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, WWNL. George, how are you today?
Doing fine. Thanks for taking my call. I have a question about my will, how I should write it. I'm 74 years old, in pretty good shape, pretty healthy. My wife is not the mother of my children. I have 3 children, one of whom we adopted from the eastern Ukraine, and my wife has a son, so he's my stepson or bonus son. I'm in the process of rewriting my will, and of my children, the younger son, or the middle child of the 3, has disowned me. On January 6, 2001, he accused me of being a part of the riot at the Capitol, and I haven't heard from him since, in spite of my reaching out to him many times. So all right, well, I'm not sure how.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. You hear the music, and we're going to help you right after this, and I'm really, really glad that you called. So many times people believe that the path forward is to separate and disengage, and so often you miss so much rather than let us help you restore, repair, revitalize a relationship. That's what we want to do. You can get that help at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll be back after this.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Washington, D.C., January 6th through the 8th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEWLIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. We will connect you with a book, a counselor, a coach, a workshop. Just like the Emotional Freedom Workshop coming up January the 6th. Is that right? Is that the actual date? It is. In Washington, D.C., we're going to be doing Every Man's Battle on the 6th. We'll do Emotional Freedom on January 21st. A little bit of a miscalculation there on my part. But anyway, Every Man's Battle, start the year with sexual integrity, emotional freedom, being really, really free. All right, so we were talking with George, and so you're working out the will here, and you've got a son here that's disowned you. And so you're calling us, and how could we help you?
The question is, how do I write it with him? It could be that at the last minute he'll reconcile with me, so he should be a part of the will. But if there's no reconciliation, should he even be in the will? Why should my other kids who've been good to me get the same as the one who's been so mean to me?
Well, let me share this with you. Just like he gets to decide to disown you, you get to decide what you do with whatever it is you leave anybody. And I got to tell you, I would, if I was one of the children who was still connected to you, and I saw the other person receive the same, I would kind of question that, just from a practical standpoint.
Sure. Yeah. But on the other hand, it could be that on my last day he'll reconcile, and then I can't change my will to put him in.
I think he might be able to understand
I have this
that.
Quandary. I don't want my other kids to get equal to what this prodigal is going to get.
Well, let's hear what Mark and Alice had to say, and just forget I've said anything, because they may have a different direction. So what do you guys think?
I might have to say that too after mine. So George, I've just got a couple of questions for you, and so I'll just tell you them, then you can briefly answer. What would it mean for you? What does it mean for you to leave your money to him? What would it mean for you? And does he want or even need your money?
He doesn't need it.
Okay.
All my kids are well educated. Okay. Actually, I have some disabled people in my will that I want to help.
Okay.
And the disabled ones are the Christians, the real Christians.
But I mean, what is it? What would it mean for you? Would it mean that now you love him, or what would it mean to leave him the money?
I do love him.
Right.
I love all of my kids, including him.
Right, but I'm sure you've shown that, and you can show that without leaving the money. I don't want to tell you what to do with the money. I just want you to think about those questions. And one thing that you can do is if he has children underneath him, maybe there's a possibility that you can leave his portion to his kids, set up trusts, for college funds and things like that.
Neither of my sons Neither of my sons has children. Only my daughter, our adopted daughter, I shouldn't even say adopted because she's my daughter. She's the only one who's given us grandkids.
Well, the one thing that I would say, and then I'll give it to Alice, is that, I've told my mom this, and I freed her from it. I've said to her, Mom, I don't want your money, and I don't need your money. I love you. So do whatever you want with your money, and I won't be offended. I won't be offended at all. Leave it to whoever you want to leave it to, and it's okay because I love you, Mom.
Yeah. And Alice, you have a quick comment here?
Cool.
George, I don't think that there's one right answer because you have the right to do whatever you want. But as you try to decide, I'd encourage you to do these things. I'd ask you to invite the opinion of your other children that are in relationship with you and ask how it would affect them one way or the other, if you included the son or not. Think about how you are.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Think about how you have attempted to show love with your son who has disowned you, and how you've attempted to reconcile, if at all, or how you want to do so in the future. And would leaving him an inheritance, would it possibly soften his heart to you? Would it possibly draw him back to family? Nobody knows. It could go either way. But think about the various outcomes and which outcome you would most prefer, although you have limited control over it. And then what comes to mind as well for me, George, is that grace is unmerited favor. You know that, but it's God's grace to us that none of us deserve, that we've all broken our relationship with God, and yet he still favors us. So allow that idea to also influence whatever it is that you do with your son, so that you leave this world not regretting that you did your part to attempt to repair the damage that your son did by disowning you.
And the other thing to think about, George, is that if a child disowns you, it is a sign of a lack of wisdom and maturity versus accepting you. It's irresponsible. Now, you didn't abuse this child. You weren't a horrible father. Well, if they are going to misuse the resource of you, then I wouldn't trust them that they would be able to appropriately use a resource called money. The worst thing you can do is, if one of your kids was a drug addict, to leave that child $10,000. I mean, they're probably going to run through that in a month. And it'll be gone. Why would you do that? So I think there's some complications here, and it would be simple to just say, okay, well, I'm just going to do it. But I think you have a son that disowned you, and I think that's a choice that has many, many consequences and ramifications, and I just want you to feel free to do what you need to do. All right, I'm going to send you the 1-Year Bible for Men. Hope you like that. And right now, let's go to Jane. Brooklyn, New York is where she's calling from. Hi, Jane. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. How can we help?
Well, I was calling because I have a son, and he's 22.
Yeah.
And he just told us about some sexual abuse that went on when he was around 14 or 15. And it happened in the church. So he's dealing with a lot of emotional issues, and I want to know how to give him direction. It was from one of the leaders in the church.
Okay. First of all, do you know who did this?
I do.
And is that person still in leadership?
They are.
Then you have an obligation to help other potential victims and
absolutely
reveal the truth, bring in child protective services, whatever it takes to have this known and dealt with. That's the first thing I would say. And I'll let Mark and Alice talk to you about what to do with your son now, how to help him.
Oh, Jane, your heart must be sick finding this out so many years later. Oh, how are you doing with it?
It's really, really hard because it's such a close-knit community in our church, and I've been involved so greatly, and it's just unbroken. So, it's really, really hard.
And it's very complex of whatever you do to address it, there will be so many ripples through your small, tight-knit community. Jane, is your son's father, is he a decent man, and is he active in your son's life?
He actually just passed away.
Oh, no.
Yeah, about 2 years ago.
So, I could imagine how alone you might feel in finding this information out, having to deal with this yourself and go up against church leadership. So, in complete agreement with Steve that is the route to take, you may want to bring in the help of a therapist who will strategize with you how best to do this, how to go about it. And a therapist is even actually obligated to make some of the reports themselves, because I don't want you to shoulder this burden alone. And if your son is struggling emotionally, he may not be able to take it all on himself either, and so a therapist can help direct how to do this.
Yeah, Jane, I would say you holding that person accountable, taking those steps to do that can speak volumes to your son, because for some reason, and again, it doesn't mean anything about you being a bad mother or anything like that, but it was too big for him to bring that to you. And so you holding that person accountable now, taking those steps, can show him, this is the appropriate thing to do. This is what you could have done for him. This is what you would have done for him. Right. And that can be healing in itself. And I want you to be free from this too. Whatever ripple effects happens from this, you're not the one breaking that church apart. You're not the one breaking that community apart. The person who did this owns complete responsibility for that. And I agree with Alice. I think, getting into offering your son therapy, processing through with him. He's older. And maybe he's willing to kind of answer some of the questions of, hey, why didn't you feel like you could come to me? I'm so sorry about that. And even having a family therapist, if it's just you and him, sit with you both together and then grieve this. It's so horrible. I'm so sorry.
Well, I've got siblings, and you told everyone, so they're all broken. So,
well, just be the resourcing parent. That's the main thing. You find a great book, you send it. If you can, you offer treatment, help, just that whole concept.
Okay.
And you didn't know about it. There wasn't anything you can do about it, but you can be a great connector to resources for transformation.
Sorry,
go ahead,
sorry, Steve. I
thought
you'd finished. Just the one thing that I wanted to mention is that even though this happened 8 years ago, Jane, just expect that the grief of it starts now, because now it's all been revealed. So it doesn't mean just, it's 8 years ago. It starts now, and it starts for all of you.
It sure does. I'm so glad you called, and let me send you a copy of Take Your Life Back, and then also I'll send you the 1-year Bible for women. I hope you enjoy those. All right, let's go over here to Faith, Orlando, Florida. WTLN is the station. Hi, Faith. How are you today?
Oh, I have COVID and bronchitis.
Oh, Faith.
Okay, then you can briefly ask us your question, and you won't have to strain all that.
Well, I'm better today, though, because they gave me that steroid.
Okay, good.
So I'm better today, thank God.
What's the question for us?
I had explained my question to the lady, and I have a son and his wife that lives here, and they have 3 children. I raised the children from birth to 10 years until my grandson was 10, and one, so I found out a secret in their house. I brought it to my son's attention in a biblical way because he was touching his son, and I saw it, and he doesn't even know that I really saw it because I don't know what to tell him. He'll only tell me I'm a liar. And when I called him out and said, what were you doing to my grandson in the shower and in the pool? And he screamed and threw me out the house woke up everybody in the house, told his wife that I accused him of his son. she said I wasn't worth even listening to, and they brought it outside. And then they threw me out in my pajamas at 7 o'clock in the morning when they already let me get my things. And then I retaliated, and I said, well, your husband likes boys, and you better look into it. That's what I told her. And then I left, and they wouldn't let me see my children my grandchildren till this day. And that's been 3 years ago.
Yeah. So what did Child Protective Services do?
Said I didn't have enough information. And I even called the school. I said, he's scared to get off the bus when his dad is home. I even called the school. But nobody did nothing.
How long ago was that?
3 years ago.
3 years.
And I followed it up. Nobody do nothing. They kicked me out of the house. And
what's the question
for us,
then? And they won't
let me see my grandchildren.
What is the question for us?
Did I do the right thing? Did
you do
I do the right thing as a Christian by bringing that to his attention, hoping that now that he knows that somebody knows that God would work with his mind and his heart?
Well, we're going to give you an answer right after this. You're listening to New Life Live. Glad you are.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Hey, if you need a Band-Aid, we don't do that here. We do everything we can to not give out Band-Aids when somebody really needs to have a wound cleaned up and all that old junk out of there. We want to do the surgery if that's what's required. You can call some other places and they might give you a Band-Aid. It's not going to help. But some of the Band-Aids are really cute, but they don't help when it's a severe thing. All right, Faith, I want both Mark and Alice to tell you what they think about you asking, did I do the right thing? Mark, let's start with you.
Well, Faith, I think you did do the right thing. I mean, you saw abuse happening and you said something, you brought it to your son, and that was the right thing to do at first. And your hope would be that he would break down and confess and change, and he did not. He had this very, very extreme reaction. Probably, I wonder if it was something that you couldn't predict would happen. So I just want to affirm you in that I think you did the right thing. You're a good grandma. These things, sometimes it takes many years for them to come out, but eventually these things do end up typically coming out. And how old are your grandkids?
Right now they're 13, 10, and 7. And my grandson, who I'm speaking of, is autistic.
Oh,
He
wow.
can't talk,
Wow.
and he can't do anything much.
Yeah. So it's a few years here
Okay.
before you will be able to have an independent relationship with, some of your older grandkids. Not too long, but a few years. But that sounds awful, because it sounds like maybe your autistic grandson is somebody who people may not find even credible, or might not even be able to speak up for himself. But I'm so sorry.
Well, I told the school, and they didn't do it. I said, my grandson cries every time he gets off the bus. And I watched that for years, and I'm saying, what is this? What is wrong? So I started watching. I started sneaking and watching. And the Bible says when you sneak, don't sneak, because you'll find out things you don't want to know.
And Faith,
Well,
of course you would.
Alice, what do you have to say here?
Of course you would second guess, because it seems like so much more evil came about after you called your son out on what you knew was taking place. And yet, it still was correct to call evil what it is and to make that attempt. And I want you to know, in trauma research, when there was even just one person in the life of a child who stood up for them and who loved them and was consistent, even if it was for just a season, that makes so much difference in how well the person overcomes trauma throughout their lifespan. And so your presence in your grandchildren's lives for the years that you had it still will make a difference for the rest of their lives. And although your information wasn't received, and we're so upset, we were talking about it over the break, that CPS, that the school didn't do anything. I want you to consider making another attempt, even though it's years later. But sometimes if there's a change in school counselor, or if CPS receives the information yet again, there is a chance that something else will occur. I'd even think about calling the police. I'd think about hiring a private investigator if that is at all possible, because if you saw the signs, they are there, and others can and perhaps might find them. So don't stop because your first attempts didn't work.
Faith, why do you think your daughter-in-law aligned with your son and didn't want to believe you?
My daughter-in-law, I've never had an argument with her. I lived with them those years that I was taking care of the kids. And now it's been 3 years. But she's never really wanted me in her home. But we never had an argument. I respected her house. So we never had an argument or anything. But she didn't want me in her home. She's Italian and my son is black. And she has, I don't know how she married my son, but she was prejudiced towards me.
Yeah, I just wondered what your relationship was like with her, because obviously she's the other parent, right? And so she can have influence.
All right, I'm really, really sorry for everybody's reaction to what you saw. And 3 years later, I would be fighting for those kids still. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I'm going to send you 1 Year Bible for Women. I hope that'll be an inspiration to you. And I'm glad that you are such a godly woman. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you need some help, I will mention that, coming up here, first weekend of 2023, we're doing Every Man's Battle in Washington, D.C. on January the 6th. Think about the people that are counting on you to get better. Wouldn't it be great if you did and saw the impact of you changing? Be pretty special. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Well, let's go to Michael. He's calling from Springfield, Massachusetts. Hello, Michael. How are you today?
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
I guess I have a question. Just wondering if you ever heard of this happening to anybody. When I was younger, like 19, 20, I was praying in my home, and I thought I got the gift of tongues or something, and because a demon jumped on me, a spirit, and started moving my tongue, and I didn't know what it was. I looked in a book. I had a Billy Graham book on the Holy Spirit, and I just randomly flipped it open. It went to the unpardonable sin. I never even heard what that was. As soon as I read it, those thoughts, like what the Pharisees had against Jesus, they flipped through my head. They went flying through my head, and all kinds of evil thoughts. And I had like a breakdown.
That's pretty rough.
I tried to
well, we're going to try to give you some. We're going to try to give you some help. right after this. You hear the music there. It's a hard break I have to take. You're listening to New Life Live, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Come sign up for Emotional Freedom. January 21st, it's online. It's amazing. January 6th, Every Man's Battle, Washington, D.C. We'll be back right after this.
My husband was involved with a pornography addiction.
He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Orange County, California, February 24th through the 26th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the 1-year Bible for men or the 1-year Bible for women. These Bibles combine the best-selling daily Bible reading format with 2-minute daily devotionals written to create a one-of-a-kind devotional Bible that you'll love. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and we're talking with Michael. And Alice, let's start with you. What do you think when you hear about an experience like this that Michael's had?
Michael, I first want to tell you that it is not the only time I've heard of this sort of experience. In fact, I've heard of this kind of thing many a time before, so you're certainly not the only one. And as you try to determine what happened to you, there are a variety of things to look at. One is, had this ever happened to you before or since? Anything like that of a very vivid spiritual interaction. Had anything else ever happened to you like that?
No, but it got worse.
And so it has happened since then.
Coming in my house.
It has continued to occur since then.
Well, I'm just still tormented, and I, people say, well, cast down the vain imaginations, and that they give me those verses, and but my mind blew up. So my mind doesn't even work right. So I don't know.
Michael, what have you done to try to address the problem and figure out what's happening since then?
Well, I just try to find God, find Christ, find God, and then there's all this controversy. I guess it's called controversy, there's a sinner's prayer is real, and it's not. There's no such thing.
And Michael, do you try to find God on your own through reading and prayer? Is it mainly alone?
Well, that we're calling Franklin Graham Ministry and stuff like that.
I'm glad that you're doing that. And I want you to add a few additional things to your approach, because there can be a mix and a crossover between spiritual experiences and mental health experiences. Sometimes they mimic each other. Sometimes they're mixed together. There's also substance abuse-induced experiences that mimic spiritual experiences, and there can be a crossover there as well. And so getting an evaluation of how well your mind is working and if there are any complications in the way your mind is experiencing the world that might affect your spiritual experience.
And let me just say this. We've had people that have been saddled with anxiety all their lives, and they finally say, okay, I will try medication because I can quit if I don't like it. I can stop it. It's not for life. And then all of a sudden, it was the thing their brain, that organ the brain needed to settle down. And so we want to be open to anything like that. Go ahead, Alice. I just wanted to, there's a reason.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Because sometimes those solutions actually resolve the question of whether was this a solely spiritual experience or was it exacerbated or affected by mental health reasons or by substance reasons. But Michael, the Bible is of course full of examples of demonic activity and of spiritual warfare. And so I know as well that that occurs. And so bringing in your pastor, bringing in a spiritual counselor to the situation that you're going through to join you in prayer, to join you in a spiritual detox of both your own life, your home, your environment. All of these things should be added to the way that you're addressing this with your prayer and your Bible study.
Very good. Well, I tell you, Mark, anything else you want to add here?
I don't know if I can add any more to what Alice just said there. I think I would have gone down the same lines there, really, Michael. And I definitely do think that, to answer your question, to reaffirm, I do think things like that can be real, but I would want to get us, again, talk about it with someone, get assessed, and maybe even visit a counselor and process through your experience, see if you can make sense of it.
All right. Let me send you this little book, Healing is a Choice. I think and I'll send you the 1 Year Bible for Men. I think it will benefit you greatly. I hope so. I really hope so. Larry Sonnenberg has benefited me greatly and many, many others, and he's sitting right there with headphones on, right there. You can see it on our New Life Live YouTube channel. Hey, Larry, what do you have for us today?
Hey, Steve. Well, I want to encourage folks to consider supporting us at your end. Supporting New Life. And here's somebody that kind of explains why. She writes, I listen to New Life Live every morning on my way to work. It's become part of my morning ritual. The moment I turn the podcast on, my anxiety about the day begins to fade away as I lean into God's Word through the wisdom of Steve, Sherry, Becky, Chris, and whoever else is on that day to apply the gospel to everyday human experience. A couple years ago, I made a plan to end my life. Where'd it go? I lost my spot, excuse me. But was able to receive therapy that surely changed and saved my life. The ministry of New Life continues to help me keep close to God's Word and His intention for my life. I hope that my small monthly contribution is helpful to someone else that may be in a similar spot in their life, and that they can come to realize that their life is worth living. Someone wanted to pay it forward.
They did.
And
I love that.
It's just the best. That's why we do what we do. We're hoping that you can get the help that you need, and when that happens and you kind of settle yourself in, you would pay it forward too, because there are so many people that are hurting just like you're hurting right now.
Larry, sometimes people think, well, I can't give somebody a scholarship. I don't have that kind of money. But if you gave $20 in the scholarship fund, you'd be part of somebody getting to go. And how many times have we heard people say, thank you to whomever paid for me to come to this workshop? We are a transformational ministry. We've been that from the first day we started in 1988. Not to feel better, but to change everything radically, thoroughly, extreme change for the better. And you're not going to do that just wishing or hoping. It takes action, and the first action is picking up the phone. You call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and we'll take it from there. That's all you have to do is call. What else you have, Larry?
Well, you mentioned earlier, maybe it was on an earlier program, that we're about to enter our 35th year. Well, we have entered our 35th year.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
November was the anniversary.
Oh. Right.
And if you think about it, 35 years, people's lives have been touched, affected, changed in so many ways. And we think there's more than 35 years to go with this. But you could start for this year right now if you would make a gift. A lot of ways to do it. You can give online, you could send a gift, you could call in, you could donate stock. There's a lot of things that you can do. But if you're going to give at year end, if it's going to be counted on your taxes for 2022, I know that's a lot of reason people give at year end. And it's got to be postmarked if it's mailed in this calendar year. If it's postmarked January 2nd, you will not get a tax deduction for 2022.
Well, and when you give, you can know that there's a culture here, and Larry's a big part of that we consider every expense, and we try to be the best stewards possible with whatever support we get. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Please help us if you possibly can. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate that. Let's go back to our phones. And how about we talk with, let's talk with Joseph, Suwanee, Georgia, or something like that. How do you pronounce that town there, Joseph?
Suwanee, Georgia.
Okay, well, I got it. How can we help you today?
So basically what I was talking about was, let me just tell you the basics, okay? Before I'm about to tell you. So, basically I have this book, that's in my war and everything else. So, and then basically, I basically want to show that I can be more than just, online persona. Because basically it was a video where, it was about the book, and I basically was like clapping back at people, and then basically I was talking about these things better slither out of here, something like that. It was on my TikTok or whatnot. And so,
okay. Well, tell me a question that we could help you with. You just ask a question, right, and then we'll get to the details.
So I know. The question that I was about to get to was about how to prove people different. Basically how to prove people, different and all this other stuff. Basically like that.
Okay. And, well, I hear that question, and I'm anxious to answer that for you right after this. So you hold on, and we're going to take this break. A lot of times, the people we want to answer or convince, they are cast in stone. And other than an ice pick, forget that. That's not a good analogy. All right. So we'll take a break here. We'll come right back on how to deal with folks who don't listen, don't appreciate what you're doing, don't care what you think or feel. We'll do that right after this. 1-800-NEW-LIFE to help us or to get help. Same number. Boy, do we ever want to help you. It's the greatest privilege ever to get to interact with somebody who is sincerely wanting help. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. A lot of people are you could literally say, in bondage from past trauma that has created an emotional web that they don't understand, and it prevents them from being free. A person that loses their temper regularly is not emotionally free. Someone who has anxiety just to get in the car and leave the house is not emotionally free. And walking around with the shame from a childhood or even a bad relationship as an adult, that is not emotional freedom, and we can help you get there.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Workshop is Saturday, January 21st. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jackie Macaris will present information on the power of our emotions, procrastination, guilt and shame, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or register online at newlife.com.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and Kurt, you had some things that you wanted to say here, and
Mark?
so let's go there. I'm sorry, Mark. I keep
But you look like a Kurt.
Yeah, you do.
Hey, I don't
But
mind
Mark,
being
you
Kurt
have
Cameron.
you want to.
We might get more calls that way.
We could. That's why I do it. That's
But
why I do it.
I'm not Kirk. I'm Mark.
Okay.
Just
so,
people
what
out
are you
there.
thinking here with Joseph?
Yeah. Oh, Joseph, I'm sorry. It sounds like you're really feeling misunderstood here by some people in your life. You know, it sounds like you have tried to tell them something, or they've asked you something, you've communicated something, and they just have not got it, and that is just really frustrating for you, and you just need to try and get them to see that you know, that you get it, or get them to try and understand you. So I'm so sorry that that's happening. I think what I would say to you just kind of succinctly is I wonder if it really matters. These people who you're trying to get to understand you really matter, and if there's a person in your life, a group or of individuals, maybe a family member who you can really sit down and who gets you, and who will hear you out, and even if they disagree with you, they'll still love you anyway. Because I think that's key in conversations, is that we don't have to agree with each other in order to try and understand what the other person is saying, and in order to kind of accept someone or even validate their emotions.
And, you know, I've got this new book. It's not even out yet. It's Every Believer's Thought Life, but we've got some copies. They're in. And it's the pub date is on January. It's in January. So let me send you a copy of Every Believer's Thought Life, and I really hope that something there is going to help you. And I'll send you the 1-year Bible for men coming your way. I think we've got time for one more call. Let's go to Mary, Washington, D.C., and she watches online. Hi, Mary. How are you?
Hi. Okay. So I'm not quite sure how to word this question, but the short story is my grown son came to me about 5-6 years ago to tell me that he was abused by his father, and he did seek counseling. And might have been more than 5 years ago. But I was seeing therapy at the time too, and my therapist at the time told me not to say anything to any of the family members or confront the perpetrator, and unless my son tells me to do so, or kind of like invites me. So I haven't, and I'm kind of holding this. I never knew what happened. If I had known it happened at the time, it would never have gone far. It would never have happened again. And I would have taken all the measures I could have, and I would have taken my kids away. But and for the life of me, I can't know how we'll win.
Oh, Mary, we hear such grief and guilt and regret in your voice that you have this information, but following your therapist's advice, you have not disclosed it to other family members. Are you still in relationship with your husband? Are you still together?
No. I had left him 5 years before that. So I've been separated with him for 10 years because it was an abusive relationship, and it was finally a place where I was like, okay, I'm done, and I left him. So, and it's not a good relationship.
And your son has asked you to do.
happen.
Your son has asked you to do nothing with the information about being abused.
No. And to make matters worse, he doesn't even talk to me. He's been mad at me. I can't figure it out. But he was mad when I left my husband, his dad, 10 years ago, and he lived with me for a little bit and left, then come back, and our relationship is very strained.
And Mary, through the counseling, no official reports were made against your husband, and was no investigation ever opened up against him?
No.
And I know it's complicated now because you're not even in communication with your son, and your therapist had reasons for advising that, but that's not the advice that we usually tend to give when there has been abuse, especially because there can be other unknown victims of abuse. And so I'd have you prayerfully think about whether or not to revisit this, and to let your son know it's still on your mind. I know he's not in communication with you, but if you can get a note, if you can get a letter to him, that it's weighing on you too heavily, and that you have to take steps in order to protect him, even though it's from afar, he's an adult, and because your husband is still on the loose, so to speak, and may still be hurting other people. What's your reaction to that, Mary?
I totally agree, because I have where he lives, he has my two of my grandchildren that go to see him, not him, but my other son. Yes. And that's what I'm worried about. And I said something to the other grandmother, that there's been abuse, and a family member came to me that, the father was abusing them, and I want you to know this. And now I don't know if he is or not to them two kids. And the thing is, I feel that if something's happened to them kids, and I got this, and I know this, I didn't know when it happened to my kid when he was a kid.
Well, sure.
I know this now.
Well, it sounds like, Mary, that you've done a lot here too. You've already notified. It sounds like the other grandmother of your son's other kids, and I think that's probably the right thing to do, because again, if he has access to other kids, we don't want other people to be abused. This is a really hard situation, because again, like you were saying, if you'd have known before, you would have helped him out here, and so it can feel very, very powerless. And I understand that how you want to have justice, but I think if you've shared with others, you've probably done the right thing there. Done the best that you can in the sharing. Well, let me send you Take Your Life Back. I hope that will be a blessing in your life. One of the things you could do to bless somebody else is tell them that there is a place where people genuinely want to help, they get help. Tell them about the program. Tell them how to access it, either the app or online, the radio program in your radio station in your area, or Sirius XM channel 131 at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, you Club New Life members, you're really the backbone here of all that we do, your regular giving. If you somehow, some way can increase that $10 a month, we'll send you either the 1 Year Bible for Men or the 1 Year Bible for Women, our way of saying thank you. Now, Christmas, well, it is all about Jesus. And Matthew 25:40 says, the King will reply. Now, that's King Jesus there. Truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. How often do we think about that? It really does inspire us to do the thing that maybe is inconvenient, because it's really doing it for Christ. Every man's battle, January the 6th, sexual integrity. That could be how you describe 2023. Emotional freedom is online, January 21st. I don't know how your emotional freedom quotient is, but some it's really high and you're really free, and others it's low and you have burdens you don't need to be carrying. We'll help you with that on January 21. Intimacy in Marriage is February 17th. That's the last time Mylan and Kay Yurkovich are going to be doing that with us. They're just cutting back.
So if you've said, well, we'll go one day, this is the day to go. Call us right now. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Restores February 24th. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's the number to call. We love you. We care about you. Hey, thank you, Alice and Mark. Not Kirk. Mark Cameron. Thank you so much for being here. See you next time here on New Life Live.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.